Good evening. The May 25th, 2002 monthly meeting of the Dixon County School Board is now in session. For the record, I'd like to recognize that all school board members are present, as Tanya Baker, Board Clerk, Scott Mullins, School Board Attorney, and Mrs. Robinson, Division Superintendent. At this time, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? And I would like to ask a special thanking as we go through the moment of silence to remember Robb Elementary School and all those victims there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Board members, we have an agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any additions or revisions to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to request, I noticed that we have several of our retirees today, and I wondered if we could recognize them next on our agenda, please. And that would be the only revision that we would have.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda with that revision?
So I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. All right. Retirees.
Do we need to go down now?
Ladies and gentlemen, and board members, if you'd like to come up front, please. Today we have the bittersweet moment to recognize retirees. We have 6 retirees that are here with us today that we would like to recognize, and as our school board members come down, and I will join you, but I would like to read the entire list of retirees that we have and to recognize them and their families. With these 6 people, we have 178 years of experience that is leaving our school division. Many of these I know well. They've been here since I have been here. They've been good teachers to me, and it is a pleasure to recognize them. And so I'm going to step down, and then we will recognize them, and we'll ask their families that are here to please come and also be recognized, because we know that you've been a big part of their lives. Quite frankly, I don't know how we will do without these retirees. They are that vital, and they have played such an important role in the lives of our schools, our children, and on a personal level for me. Excuse me. Our first retiree that we would like to recognize is Mr. Willie Brooks. Mr. Brooks, would you come to the front, please? Mr. Brooks has 32 years of experience, mechanic and bus driver.
Thank you. It's an honor. Pleasure, brother. Thank you so much for everything.
May I say that Mr. Brooks helped me to put gas in my car. He taught me how to do that. Stand and stand right here. We're going to take your picture here. Okay. Yeah, please, don't leave. Our second is Mr. Frank Childress, 18 years of service with Dixon County Public Schools, 35 years with BRS. Mr. Childress, Mr. Mechanic, bus driver. And
Mr. Childress and Mr. Brooks not to accept their retirement.
Yes, you all.
Mr. Ronnie Moore, 31 years.
I've already started mine. Retirement, retire.
It looks good on you.
I hope so. Pretty sure. Yes, that's where I got it at.
Now, what does it say?
It's Doug Stone. He was out here in town. I like Doug Stone.
Here, stand right here. And Miss, where's my camera person? I'm here. Okay, we might have to get together, so that we kind of like
Two rows.
Yeah, 2 rows or something, I'm short, so I don't know if I can get you all in, but or let our retirees come in the front row. Let our retirees and their families be in the front row.
He's tall enough anyway. You can stand up front of me. Being a good looker. No, hardly.
Okay, let's see, I can see your favorite ring.
When you tip your toes.
You can see me, I can see you. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Try not to get Miss Martin's head. 1, 2, 3. I'll take you individually.
Right.
I'll get you two first.
Retirees, you're certainly welcome to. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore asked if he could say a few words, and certainly,
Yeah, let's go take the picture.
Mr. Brooks and Mr. Childress and their families. Mr. Moore, if you'd like to come up now and speak.
Well, I don't need a microphone.
Okay.
I'm a little older than my brother, but he's a preacher, so he carries really well.
Oh, we will.
I'd like to say it's been my pleasure to be a teacher at the Dickinson County School System. Like I said, I've been here 31 years. It's the hardest job that I've ever had, and probably the most rewarding job that I've ever had. I would like to have taught a couple more years, but health problems, good Lord let you know when you need to get out, I guess. But I've got a list of students that has come through my program, and most of y'all will recognize some of these. Josh Newberry, he took my program because he wanted to be a mechanical engineer. Of course, you know, he went downhill and become a lawyer. No, I'm just kidding. Ben McFall, owns McFall Excavating. He went through my program, went on to the National Teaching College. Bobby Boyd of Boyd's Construction. They do their own mechanic work. Joey Owens, the one that owns the four-way now. Not only did he go through my program, matter of fact, I got him his first job with the gas company that started his $1 million business. Cody Mullins, Busted Finger Motorsports. He builds turbos and things. He went through my program. Brad Mullins of Brad's Auto in Hayside. Dylan Fuller of Fuller Logging. He does all their service work and stuff. So he went through my program. Not only that, his brother did too. Dwayne Cooper of Cooper Logging. Dwayne Cooper Logging. Y'all may have known Dwayne Sr. And Cody Mullins of Candy Ridge of AJNS Construction. They do all their work. That's the ones who own their own companies that still reside here in Dickinson County. I have another list of like Nathaniel Owens, that's Joyce Boyd that runs the service department the 90s. He's their head tech over at Organ Florida. Johnny Vance, I think he's retired now, but he worked for West End. Mackenzie Moore, my nephew, he worked for Caterpillar, Komatsu, in Big Stone, not Big Stone Gap, but Dungannon. No. Duffield. There you go. Thank you all. Travis Kinzel, he works at Walmart in the service department up at North. Denny Wright. Y'all remember Denny Wright? Well, the last time I talked to him, he had worked for Caterpillar. He wore a white shirt, went out and done the diagnosis, and then he had the other guys do the work on it. Jonathan Shields over at Castlewood. Chris McCown is now down at Davis Service Center. I've got Landon Davis, Toby Thomas, Hunter Edwards. Well, wait a minute. Landon and Toby is at up in Ohio at the Automotive College. And Hunter Edwards is in Nashville Digital College. Gage Brandon is learning to be a diesel tech, but he's in Alaska with the Army right now, jumping out of planes. And Grayson Gregg, he's moving out of New York, but he was in the motor pool up there. And then there's one guy that, another student that I had, he runs the Buchanan County Waters Authority over there, over the maintenance of their trucks and stuff. So I really appreciate you all keeping the career technical things going, because that is some of the best pay right now. Try to get somebody to lay a brick for you. It's going to cost you a lot of money. Of course, you all taking your cars to the shop. It costs a lot of money. So, and I would really like to see maybe small engine come back, maybe masonry come back, even computer come back. Anything that you all can do, I would really like to see it, because we need the workers. We do. And that's all I said. I know some of you all by heart, but I really appreciate you all letting me be part of this school system. I do. It's been the best job and the hardest job I've ever had. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank each and every one of you. In my 32 years, when I first started, we had gasoline buses. Had to change 2 spark plugs. 2-piece wheels, we had to change those. We graduated up to diesel. And I tell you, I've seen a lot of changes. Hauled a lot of kids. Saw some troubled kids. But it's been all right. And I thank each and every one of you. For the 18 years I've been here, but I've spent my whole entire career based around education. I started very young driving a bus, I think, straight out of high school. I believe I was town police, and Barney Parrott came to see me. And got me and a couple of deputies when they were short-handed. We drove. Matter of fact, I went and got my license, started driving the next day in Speed Rock. Of all places. But I've enjoyed it. Gonna miss it. Thank each and every one.
Join me in recognizing all of our retirees. We're going to miss them. We will not be. But if you need to go, that's fine also. Just whatever you would like to do. We would love to have you.
We thank you.
You for coming. Thank you. We also have just a few more retirees that we would like to recognize. Tammy Robinette, 24 years of service, bus driver. Karen Tiller, 43 years of service, librarian. Sue Woods, 30 years of service, full-time aide at Tech Lab in Sandwich. We have some other resignations that we would like to recognize. Philip Sutherland, 20 years of service, carpentry teacher. Johnny Vance, 18 years of service, bus driver. And Jane Camp, 18 years of service, cafeteria manager. As I've said, altogether, we have approximately over 225 years of experience leaving our school. And that will be sorting this. So again, a round of applause for all of our retirees.
Thank you, Mr. Moore, and thank you, both school board members, for allowing us that change.
This will bring us to our public comment. Mr. Hackney, would you please read the guidelines for public comment?
A period of time for public comment will be designated on the meeting agenda during which the public may comment on issues related to public education. Dickinson County School Board believes that the citizens of the county should be heard, that this is an acceptable format for receiving public comment. After the public comment section of the meeting is closed, the public shall not be allowed to participate in general board member discussions regarding agenda items. Public participation with the board members regarding agenda items can be disruptive, and the practice is prohibited by Robert's Rules of Order. It is the desire of the school board to treat each member of the public fairly and equally. Allowing one individual to participate while excluding others is unfair. The board may hold such public hearings as may be necessary to allow the public to more fully express their concerns, or the board may place the public comment section of any meeting at the end of the meeting to allow additional public comments. While we do not wish to restrict the free expression of opinion, we feel that certain restrictions may be necessary so that order and reasonable standards of decorum may be maintained. We ask that the following standards be adhered. The speaker will be recognized by the chair. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes. Speakers will refrain from the use of vulgarity or profanity and will avoid negative or embarrassing comments directed toward specific children or students. Board members should not respond to issues presented by speakers unless clarification is necessary. Matters of concern raised under public comment will be referred to the proper official for investigation and future board consideration if necessary.
All right. Thank you, sir. Ms. Martin, will you be our timekeeper? The board would like to recognize Kathy Music with VPE.
Good evening, Chairman Hicks, Mrs. Robinson, members of the board. As said, I'm Kathy Music, and I work for Virginia Professional Educators. And I'd just like to take the opportunity to congratulate all those wonderful retirees. What an awesome tribute, I think, to the school division. And this sad day after what we went through yesterday, it's good to see that joy and for our kids and for learning. But also I wanted to remind you, June 15th, we do have 2 submissions for grants and scholarships that are open to anybody. And there is one, the deadline is June 15th. So as teachers clear out their classrooms and start thinking about what they want to do for next year, it's a good opportunity to say, hey, I could use this. So let you know that is coming up. And also want to wish everybody a great summer. I know the budget's not, the state is not doing their part in getting the budget to us. There's a lot to do, and I'm sure the school board office is going to be crazy all summer long, but I hope everybody has a wonderful summer and all the teachers out there have some time to reflect and relax. But thank you for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Music. That's Phil Smallins with DEA.
Good afternoon, board members and Mrs. Robinson. Early this week, the employees of Dickinson County opened their email and they had quite a surprise. And everyone that I have talked to has been overjoyed, and they want to express their appreciation. Nothing talks like a little appreciation that's green at the end of the year. And the employees were extremely excited. And I contacted my members and suggested that we might want to send out some thank you cards, and I have those here. And these are heartfelt from the DEA. We really appreciate everything that you have done for us. We appreciate everything that you've given us. and we appreciate all the hard work that you put in. And we know that you appreciate us, and it shows. Mrs. Robinson, could you hand these out for me?
I would love to. I would love to.
I also want to thank Mrs. Laura Taylor. I know she has put in a lot of time and effort into all the finance and everything. And if there is anything that the DEA can help with, we would be more than happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Mullins. So next is Tracy Sturgill and Ashleen Stevens.
Hello. Well, I wanted to bring it to your all's attention, some issues we've been having with a bus driver. Are we allowed to say her name? Kim Ellswick. I've contacted you, Ms. Robinson. I've contacted, we both have, you, Mr. Mullins. We've sent messages to Mr. Mooney as well, emails, calls, and none of them have been returned. Our children one of my children has been physically assaulted by this bus driver and verbally assaulted by this bus driver. She's called her derogatory names. On February 25th, we have it on video. Mr. Mooney has this video, as well as our lawyer, where Ms. Ellswick has a taser, and under Virginia law, that's not allowed on a school bus or school property, and the taser can be seen in the video. Whenever we've reached out and tried to contact the school or the board or whoever we need to talk to, it ends up being she retaliates on our children. And I feel like the bus should be a safe place for our children at the end of the day. It shouldn't be a place to where they are crying when they have to get on the bus at the end of the day or in the morning. I feel like that should be their downtime. That should be a place where they shouldn't have to worry. And as working parents, it's not an option for us to always pick our children up. And I feel like that should be a safe place for them. And it shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't matter if it's an option or not.
No.
They should be able to ride
It should be a
the
safe place anyway, yeah.
bus. Most recently, she left my 7-year-old son at the school, which I understand accidents happen. I get that. Actually, previously, this is my oldest son. He went to J.W. Adams. He got on the wrong bus. Stuff happens. I get it. They're kids. But when this happened, he repeatedly told her that his younger brother was not on the bus, and she blatantly ignored him. So did
My children as
her
well.
children. We're neighbors, by the way.
Yeah,
We live
we're
right
neighbors.
across the road. Anyway, like I said, accidents happen. My child should not be ignored. If there was nobody there, if he had not spoke up, Thomas is 7, I get it, he don't pay attention, whatever. But when his older brother's saying there's something wrong, my brother's not on the bus, why is my brother not on the bus? And she okayed it. She spoke with, which resource officer was it?
Mr. Garrett.
Mr. Garrett, and okayed the bus to go because everybody was boarded, she said, when Lucas is sitting there saying, no, my brother's not on the bus. The next morning, I went to the school, tried to speak to the principal. The principal said that, basically told me it wasn't his problem. He actually walked away from me while I was still speaking. Said I needed to go talk to Burl Mooney. I went and spoke with Burl Mooney. Burl Mooney told me that, excuse me, it wasn't his problem because it was still on school grounds. I confronted the bus driver that evening, which I probably shouldn't have done. I know I handled it poorly, but you get to a point where you get so frustrated. Nothing's being done. I need to know who she answers to. We need to know why nothing is being done about the way this woman treats our children. It's an ongoing thing, constantly. She told me that she would step off the bus and speak to me. When I stepped off the bus, she slammed the door in my face and drove off. Again, I handled it poorly, I'll admit that. But if there's anything in this world I'm going to do, it's going to be stand up for my children. And that goes for Ashton's children and every other child, point blank. But I guess my point is we need to know who we're supposed to go to, because obviously I've emailed you all, Ashton's emailed you all. We've called, I went to the school, I went to the bus garage. Nobody can tell me who
we need to go to address this issue.
and nothing's been done about it,
Nothing's been,
other than we're in court over it.
yeah.
So, I don't know, it's just frustrating when somebody's treating your children very, very poorly, and they're supposed to be, you know, I don't care if she drives a bus, she's still a member of the Dickinson County school system. If I go to work and treated one of my patients like that, I'd be fired, flat out. I would not have a job to come back to the next day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Next, we have Connie Fuller.
I too am having a problem with this same bus driver amongst other families on our same route. I have contacted the school. I have contacted Mr. Mooney. I have contacted numerous ones of you all. Miss Ellswick has got to the point she has told children on the bus that she would chop their heads off. She has let children, as a matter of fact, a preschooler that was just brought to attention here within the last month, stand up with her head hung out the window like a dog. She will literally have high schoolers bully our elementary kids. What is up with this bus driver? I'm sorry, y'all. I will not have a bus driver come out on me and tell me that she's going to do something with my child. Either or. If it was one of y'all's children that is on a bus and she tells you all she's going to do this or do that, like the lady said before, how would you all like it? Sorry, I'm not going to take it. You know, what is up with this bus driver? You know, my child comes home crying daily. Mom, do I have to ride this bus? Mom, do I have to ride this bus because of the bus driver? You know, other parents come to me telling me the same thing. Their children is having a problem with this bus driver. It's brought to y'all's attention. Nothing's done. What's it going to have to take, y'all? Speeding? It's been brought to y'all's attention.
Nothing's done.
Nothing's done.
And I don't think it's right.
What's going to happen if she kills one of these children on this bus? Is it going to have to be everyone on her route literally pulls these children off this route and do not let them ride this bus? That's what it takes, y'all. I will not let my child ride her bus next year. Either y'all do something about it, or every one of us parents on this route will.
Do something about it.
Do something.
And like it said, it's been brought to your all's attention.
And nothing's
You all
done.
ignore it. You all honestly got ignored. You
And
brought it to Ms.
when it's brought in, when we have to take it into our own hands, what happens? Then it's took to court. Oh, and it's like it said, oh, she's not allowed to get off the bus. Am I right?
That's what I was told, that she's not allowed to step off the bus.
She's
Actually, she told me she would step off the bus to speak to me.
She's come off the bus numerous times on me.
She's also
with the
come
bus
off the
road.
bus to speak to me to complain about my children also.
Me as well.
Like, we spoke to her off the bus.
How would you all feel if it was y'all's kids or y'all's grandkids. What would you all do? I think it's a bunch of bullcrap.
Y'all, I'm sorry, something's got to be done
with this
with
driver. It's got to do.
We
Kids
brought it
coming
to
all the
everybody's,
time.
we brought it to everybody's attention, y'all.
I want to add, I know it's not my turn to speak, but when this happened, I had people that I went to high school with. High school, I graduated 10 years ago. This has been going on that long. People confronted me, thanking me for confronting her. It's literally, she's been an issue for that long.
And she has been telling the high schoolers to bully my nephew, to get onto him.
She lets high school children show our elementary children porno on the bus, you all! It's got to stop. It's been brought to y'all's attention. Sorry, y'all ignore it. I will not have it anymore. Y'all do something about it, or we will want done.
Next, we have Maxine Green.
That was me.
That was you? Okay, thank you. Our next agenda item is the consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes, the approval of monthly bills, revenue and expenditure summary, discussion of school activity funds, approval of field trips, approval of elementary school construction invoices, and approval of bank reconciliation documents. Any questions or discussion of the consent agenda? Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is information for the school board. Mrs. Robinson.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, board members. I just wanted to bring your attention to information for the board. Included in that section is the Dickson County Public School Plan for Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services. This document is a requirement for ESSER 3 funds, and it is scheduled to be revised by June the 1st, 2022. The document is posted on the DCPS website, and we welcome the public comments and input, and also your public comment and input. These comments and feedback may be sent to me at hrobinson@dcps.k12.va.us by Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. All comments will be considered, of course, and any feedback is greatly appreciated. The board does not need to vote on that, but I did want to make you aware, and I think it's in yellow and included in your packet. Also, just meetings, in-person and virtual meetings for June and in July, just for the board's information. Thank you, Mr. Hicks.
Thank you. All right, which brings us to good news from our schools.
Okay. Ms. Martin? We included our retirees there, but since they're already been recognized, I'm going to ask Ms. Martin. Ms. Martin, thank you.
I've still got a couple of years, so you don't get to celebrate my retirement. I've got about 6 years to go, so you're going to be stuck with me for a while. In the packet for attendance, I told you that we flip-flopped, so I have good news this month. We're up by 2, so we're back on the positive, so that's good news. Our percentages are a little down, but again, we're in that month of, we started getting in that SOL time, warmer weather, so kids started missing a little bit more. but hopefully in the fall, we can get back to what I guess we can call a new normal. We're going to put a bigger push on attendance, and we've already had some meetings with some principals and sort of some ideas of some ways to do better next year with our attendance. For the month of April, Clintwood again had the highest percentage at 90.37, with Overton and Sandlick right behind them. We had a couple of movements within the county, so I think students moved from Irvington to Clintwood, or it might have been vice versa. We're still down from last year, but again, hopefully things are on the rise with COVID moving out and that sort of thing. In your packet, as usual, I gave you the breakdown of the enrollment per school, per grade, the students that are moving. I also gave you, we do four attendance awards this year. That's in our handbook that we do for the students, and I broke that down for you. This includes our virtual students. And I was pleased with this, considering, with all things considered. I gave you a breakdown of that. We do perfect attendance, which are 0 absences. We do excellent attendance, which is 1 to 4 absences. We do great with 8, which are 5 to 8 absences. And then the principals do their own, it's a special attendance, which is if there's been a 50% improvement. So that's at the principal's discretionary decisions. So I gave that to you as well, just to give you an idea of, we had some bright spots with kids being able to have perfect attendance this year, and that was, I wanted to share that with you as well. Any questions from the board on attendance?
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Thank you, sir.
Our next agenda item is the update on Ridgeview Elementary. Mr. Burge.
Just a quick update on a few pictures here.
And I think we have do we have a presentation?
Yeah, he's working on it. Like I said, I know all y'all toured the schools today and seen the progress, but work is continuing to progress well. You can see a different change in it every month, what's going on. I actually today looked back at a picture from a year ago, and it was just some footers out there. So it's amazing what's happened in a year. But anyway, just update on the progress, the cleaning of the brick. I think he has 2 or 3, maybe 2 more panels to clean. They've had a little hard time cleaning some of it because it had been on there a little bit too long. But they've got it cleaned and it looks good. Window frames and glass are pretty much all installed. They're still putting some glass in. Air barrier is mostly installed. There's a little bit left on the south end and a little bit on the west side between the 2 buildings that hasn't been completed. But that should be completed shortly. The framing's been installed for the metal panels. We're expecting those metal panels anytime now. Also, the ceramic tile that goes around the top and kind of separates the brick from the metal panels, that is actually on the ship, and it's supposed to be here mid-June. The inside, the rough end for electrical continues. They've started pulling wire on the first floor. Next week, they'll start pulling data and data lines and access control wiring and cameras wiring on the first floor, which is a good thing because we'll be wanting to start installing ceilings pretty quick. The painter, he's painting all throughout the building as the drywall's finished, and the CMU, he's mostly got all the CMU block field, and some areas have it already painted. The mechanical trades, they are continuing to hook up ductwork and running some exposed ductwork in the art room. They finished the ductwork in the cafeteria last week. We'll have a picture of that here shortly. Outside, also in the kitchen, they've been working on the flooring this week. It's like an epoxy floor. That should be finished up in a few days. It looks good. And then next week, they'll be putting up the FRP, which goes around the walls about 6 foot high. And they're trying to get that kitchen wrapped up and seal it off, other than putting tile in. Outside, they've continued to work on the pond. It's actually a retention pond, putting stone and things in there. They still got a ways to go on that. They're waiting for BizAc to get scheduled to do the paving, at least the base coat of paving. And when they do come, they should also be striping at the front entrance all the way back to the football field, as the traffic pattern will be changing. On the new addition, they poured the footers last week, and they have also started the ICF walls, and I'm expecting them to pour those probably early next week up to the floor level, and then they'll be probably getting the floor poured and then move on up with the walls. Bar joists and things are coming, I think, sometime in August for the first floor. So things are continuing to move. The switchgear, it was ordered on May 2nd. Last we've heard, it was still planned to ship on 6/13. So we're still hoping and all that works out for us. And like I said, electricians have already began pulling wire, so that's a good sign of getting things ready for that switchgear when it gets here. All right, so some of the pictures. This is the front entrance, front of the building. As you can see, we're just waiting on metal panels to get here for that. Next, this is main corridor on on B. They're continuing to run a little conduit. Most of the piping's done, and they'll be trying to get all the electrical finished up so we can sheet rock these little bump outs and things, and then get ready for ceiling grit. Next, this is cafeteria looking from the front, from the parking lot, from the bus drop side. There's ductwork that's going to be exposed that they've already got hung. There'll be some floating ceilings in this area. This would be a nice space and kind of open and airy. Next, here's one of the classrooms where they've got the sheetrock pretty much hung, just waiting for the finishers to get to it and finish it out. Next, there's another area where they've done some finishing and some walls have already been painted. Next, here is the kitchen hood. About 2 weeks ago, they were hooking it up to the rooftop unit for the exhaust and everything for the kitchen hood. So that's been completed now. All the stuff's been welded up and tested. Next, here's the mechanical room where the hot water boilers are and the pumps to move the water throughout the building for the HVAC and hot water. Next, here's a picture of some rooftop units that were set, because I hadn't gotten any and showed you, but these are some of the units on the roof with the gas line, and the main runs have been run. They'll be branching those out shortly to the actual units. Next, here's a view from the roof looking out towards the main entrance to the elementary school. You can see the parking lots there are nice. Off to the right where the lull is, that'll be the playground over there on the right. Next, this is a picture of where they've been working in the retention pond, putting stone down to keep things. They got a lot more work to do, some under drains, some special soil, some plants. So they still got a ways to go on this, but it's coming along well. They're doing what they can between the rain. Next. Here's a picture of looking down from the roof, down on the new classroom wing. You can see the footers here poured. Next. And then here you can see where they're actually installing the ICF walls up to floor level so they can get those poured and get everything backfilled and get that slab poured. I think that's all of them. Any questions on the report update? We're still within budget, so everything's continuing to move forward. Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Burge.
Thank y'all.
Our next agenda item is the update on the 2022-23 budget. Ms. Taylor.
Good evening, Ms. Robinson, members of the board. Just an update on the 22-23 Dickinson County Public Schools budget. As of today, we still do not have an adopted state budget, which has been previously mentioned in comments. Just wanted to let you know that the General Assembly is scheduled to convene again on June 1st at 10 a.m., so we do expect the budget to be addressed and adopted at that time. Once the budget is adopted, of course, it goes to the governor, who has 7 days to act by either signing it, vetoing it, or making further changes. This has, been kind of a strange year in terms of budget, but we are certain that we will have an approved state budget in June. Dickinson County Board of Supervisors, as such, is moving forward with their estimates at this time in their budget process. And that is generally how everyone has been doing that, is moving forward with your estimates, knowing that you may have to amend. We have been advised by Larry Barton, the county administrator. The current proposed budget for Dickinson County includes $5,221,723 in local appropriation. That is the required local match, or RLM, amount that is estimated by Virginia Department of Education. We have also been advised that Dickinson County Board of Supervisors intends to allow Dickinson County Public Schools to carry over all remaining unspent funds reported on June 30th, 2022. So we are very appreciative of that intention. Dickinson County Board of Supervisors is not scheduled to formally vote to approve their budget until Tuesday, June 28th. Now, our original budget request submitted to Dickinson County was $5,900,000. We will start working on making adjustments to our budget, decreasing that budget by $678,277 in the local appropriation request, as well as any estimates for federal programs that we have since received changes on. These will be brought to the school board in July as budget amendments for your approval, and that is July because we will need an approved state budget and an approved local appropriation prior to making those amendments. Does anybody have any questions about where we are in the budget process? Of course, we will keep you updated as we get more data going forward.
There's no questions. The next agenda item is the discussion of the proposed 22-23 salary scales for the Dickinson County Public Schools full-time and part-time employees. And Ms. Taylor and Ms. Robinson.
Thank you. I'll start, and then I'll ask Ms. Taylor to please continue with the actual figures. We've included in your packet the proposed salary scale. You were sent the entire salary scale, but we have the summary of the proposed salary scale summary. You notice that with STEP and the 5%, we are proposing a 7.07% increase in salaries. And of course, as we go through, that may be a little bit less for some, more for others, and I'll let Ms. Taylor speak about that, but we're very pleased with that. And so you also see the total amount of that. Included in that is a compensation supplement the state funds, and then the required local match, and then other operating funds that we will have to contribute to increase our salaries and our steps. You also see the teacher salary scale, the proposed teacher salary scale, and that's been also included in your packet. And as we spoke with the salary committee yesterday, we couldn't wait any longer. We were waiting to see if the General Assembly, but we were concerned. So yesterday we met with our salary committee. Ms. Mullins was here, a part of that. We have several others. And what we generally worked on and focused on was the teacher bachelor and the teacher master. We found that between 10 years 5 and 15, Ms. Taylor, would you say that's correct?
That's correct.
We realized that we had to focus on that. And so I will let Ms. Taylor share with you what we are proposing. The 21-22 is on the left side. The 22-23 is on the right side for both the masters and the bachelors. Ms. Taylor?
Okay. First, I would just want to say that there are all of the scales have been provided to you. The only change in the scales as a whole is a 5% across the board increase for the cost of living adjustment. We have also included in our estimates a step raise with that as well. The updated milestones for the teacher BA and teacher MA scales, those are located on pages 29 and 30.
They have I'm sorry, Ms. Taylor,
You have
they
them
just have
separate.
those.
Okay. I think they're on blue paper. That's correct.
Yes, ma'am.
This basically started as there is a survey that is done periodically, and it will review teacher salaries across multiple divisions, and it will rank them at entry level, at 5 years of service, at 10 years of service, 15 years of service, 20 years of service. And what we found consistently was that in those middle years, based on the way that our salary scale was currently constructed, that we were falling behind other divisions in salaries at those areas. You'll notice on the left-hand side, the milestones are more heavily weighted the more years that you go up. So what we are doing, and this is a tip at phase 1 to get us on par with other school divisions, because we don't want to see Dickinson County ranking in the bottom 3 consistently on those reports, is that we took those milestones that were located at 5, 10, 15, 20, and we tried to spread those out, starting those earlier on in the teacher's career, because we have excellent teachers in Dickinson County, and we want to keep them here. And we're hoping that they'll retire here, so that is our goal. And the teacher BA and the teacher MA salary scales are both now adjusted in this proposed plan to hopefully help us do that. Do you have any questions about those two scales? If there are no questions about those, I'll move on.
What we'd like to ask Mr. Hicks, Mr. Chair, and board members, is just the approval of the proposed salary scales, and only if there are no significant changes on the compensation from the General Assembly or any other significant loss from the local appropriation. This will help us to begin with contracts sooner than in July, and hopefully we would like to reach that point where we can get our contracts out sooner. Now, if there is a change in the General Assembly budget and we don't have the compensation, or if in the amendment with the local appropriation it is less, then of course we would come back to you in June and propose a revised salary scale. But again, this is just a suggestion for the board. You may wait until June or July to do that, but in considering contracts, we would just ask the board to consider that recommendation.
I'm okay with that. Everybody else says I'll be okay with doing that tonight. I'm happy with the direction we're moving with the salaries, with the scales. I think we needed to do that. I appreciate the work that's been put in for that. I looked into it a lot over the last couple of days and looked at it closely. And I do think that it makes us more competitive with other districts. I did go through and look at the sub-pay too. I think we're competitive in that as well. The only, and as you know, I brought this request up, is that we look a little closer at the substitute driver. I think that's the only one that I think, if you look at other divisions, that we may be lagging behind what they're paying substitute drivers. But I know our long-term sub drivers, we've brought that up, and I think that really looks good. But the other one, just the daily rate, if we could take a look at that, that's the only thing that I would request in going forward.
I have since we released these, I have started polling other divisions to see where they are on those rates, so we can see a little bit closer about where we stand on those and look at it further.
Another reminder just for the board, and thank you, Mr. Hackney, for that suggestion. The part-time, the minimum wage is going up on January 1, 2023, and what we are proposing to the board is that we begin paying the higher minimum wage scale of $12 on July 1, 2022. And so that is, 6 months before we actually need to do that. But again, we're just trying to make ourselves more competitive with that. Regarding the bus driver pay, when we went back and checked on that, all of our bus drivers right now, and as you know, the shortage that we've had are on the long-term pay. So we don't have any substitute bus drivers that work here and maybe work there, and any bus driver that will work with us, we just about immediately, after they've met the criteria, they go on that long-term pay for bus drivers. So, but that is something that we will continue to look at.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the proposed salary scales contingent upon the approval of state budget with no significant changes in the compensation and state funds?
I move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Next, the VSBA policies. Mrs. Martin.
A couple of weeks ago, Ms. Robinson emailed you 12 new policies. Most of them, 11 of those policies were, footnotes were changed, wordage was changed, references were changed. One was a new policy, the JJAF, which was student athletes sudden cardiac arrest. That is a new policy. That one is the only one that's actually just a new one. The other ones were just wordsmithing, if you will. I ask now if you have any questions on the policy changes that we sent you. And if there are no questions, I ask for approval.
So move to approve as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have an update on the Communities and Schools program for our schools. Mrs. Robinson.
Thank you. Mr. Setzer, is not here today, but will present the end-of-the-year data for the communities and schools at our June meeting. But I left this item on the agenda because I wanted to share with you that we were notified by Mark Vanover, RAFA's Executive Director, that the RAFA Foundation Board has awarded $96,000 to Communities and Schools program, which will financially support an additional Communities and School site director in the Dixon County Public Schools. So we are thrilled about that, and our very special thanks to Mr. Vanover and the RAFA Foundation for recognizing the importance of Communities and Schools in our division. Mr. Setzer will be with us in June, and he will have the final data summarizing their work with just 2 of them in our schools with a challenging year. So we're looking forward to hearing that report. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Robinson. This concludes our open session, and it's now time for board comment. I'll go first, I guess. I would first like to say how impressed I was and thank Mr. Burge for the tour of the school today. It's really amazing and a little bit overwhelming when you walk through there to see all that's going on. The security features that they mentioned, you know, it was really reassuring of the security features that are going to be there. It'll be really neat to see those things once they get those things installed. And, you know, with the happenings of this week in Texas, we all know why that is very important, and our heart goes out to those folks. I enjoyed graduation. I would like to thank Mr. Compton and his staff for graduation. I thought it was a very nice ceremony, and did a first-class job, and I'd like to congratulate our graduates as well. Pleased to be able to do the stipends for our employees from the ESSER funds. It's well-deserved. They've been through the ringer the last little bit, so that was welcome to do. Again, I know summer school's getting ready to start, you know, and I appreciate those folks, even after, you know, just being through the ringer that we've said. We've still got folks who are going to jump back in there. It starts tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir, it does.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll have an enjoyable time and then help students regain some learning loss that they possibly had. And for everybody else, enjoy the summer, you know, students and staff. It's well-deserved. We'd like to thank the Board of Supervisors for going ahead and making their allocation even without a state budget. That's important, and we appreciate that. And as you just mentioned, RAFA there with the donation to Community Schools program, I think that program has done some really good things, and I think this donation will even help us some more. Mr. Aslan?
I think he said about everything that needed to be said, did he not? He did a good job.
I'm sure I missed something.
I just know that we've all been reminded that everybody associated with, as parents, teachers, aunts, uncles, grandchildren, we got another reminder just how sad things can be. And it's also a reminder that I don't care how good we think things are, that we always need to have our guard up, need to have things in place that we've all talked about and that we've done a good job with, in my view. But we need to double check those things and make sure that we do every single thing that we can to not have something happen here that we'd all feel sorry about someday. We're not exempt. No school is, no county is in this country, or around the world for that matter, but there are things that can be done. If everybody in the building, and everybody on the playground, and supervision, and in the fields and the gyms, if every adult there does their job and meets their responsibility, you diminish the risk of something like that happening. And I know that we'll probably talk to the superintendent about that, and I think we've done a good job with it through the years. Tomorrow's another day, and we've got to do that job every single day without fail to serve our children and our families in a good, proper way. I'd like to thank the teachers and all the school employees and their families and the parents and children for the difficulties that we've had these last 2 years regarding all the schedule changes with COVID and every other challenge that has been out there. I again think it's been handled well by the superintendent and her staff, and I think the parents and grandparents and the students have been as cooperative as they could be as well. It's really been done, in my degree, in my view, in the degree of professionalism and decency that probably excel what we might have anticipated, what I might have anticipated. But the challenge will still be there no matter what we face. We just have to be prepared to meet that challenge in a way that's professional, responsible, and that we don't make a mistake in any of this. I hope everybody has a safe and happy summer.
I'll follow what Mr. Raznick said, and the thoughts and prayers with families impacted in Texas. Look back and see our SROs back there, and we thank them a lot, but I don't know if we can ever thank them enough for the important job that they do. We're just very blessed and fortunate to have those folks in our school system. I want to reiterate, happy with what we've been able to accomplish for salary scales. I'm very happy for our staff. It's well deserved. I think like I said, I think we're going in the right direction for that. Also like to thank Mr. Birch for the tour of the elementary school. It's come along very well. It was nice to see and walk through. I think you don't really appreciate when you drive by how large the facility is.
Yes.
But it's coming along, and I think it's going to be fantastic once we do get to the point of being able to open it. Would like to congratulate our retirees that was here tonight. Glad for the ones that was able to come, and also congratulate the ones that wasn't able to be here, and appreciate them for their years of service and all that they've done. And would also like to congratulate the seniors that just graduated. I too thought that the ceremony was very nice, and congratulate all those seniors moving forward, and best of luck to them. And actually just like to wish all of our students and staff a very happy and safe summer.
Go ahead, Doc.
I enjoyed the tour of the new elementary school. I appreciate the work being done there, and we're still on budget. I also echo all the comments of Mr. Hicks. He took all the good stuff. It was good to congratulate all the retirees. We're losing a lot of experience.
Yes.
And that's all I can do.
Well, I'd like to reiterate what Mr. Hicks did too. He stole everything, like you say, Doc. And I'd just like to say that I really appreciate those retirees that's retiring. Those are some special people who's been so dedicated to this education system and had made things work so well. It's going to be hard to replace those. And, this afternoon as I was going through the elementary school, it's really easy to talk about an elementary school being built or that it's going to be there. But until you actually walk through and feel those walls around you, you really don't appreciate what that means to our forthcoming generation. And I'm so thankful for that, for all the work that the administration's done, that Mr. Burge has done, that the board has done, and all those. We are just such a blessed county to have this facility. And I thank you.
Thank you.
All right. If you guys will indulge me, I left out one more thing. I didn't get all of it. So I was just reminded, as we talked about graduation a little bit, of just being able to take part in it. Is the very first one that I've been able to be a part in. And, you know, it was great to see the excitement on those kids' face and the accomplishment and how proud their parents were and grandparents and the entire community with them. And I was really reminded as, you know, we saw one of our retirees bring out a long list of folks
Yes.
of one that he was proud of and what an impact that one teacher has made on a lot. And so that we need to be reminded that that's the impact that all of our teachers make and all the people in their school system, and that's what it's about. We're in the kid business at the end of the day.
I probably have one footnote I'd like to give.
All right, go right ahead.
The fact is, I thought that was impressive, and it brought a tear to my eye to hear Mr. Moore. I've known him all of his life and knew his father. His father's pastor there at the church I attended as a, I guess, elementary school student, but there at Martintown. But whatever the case, every person that's taught in that career tech business would have those same lists.
Yes.
And a similar list. And it's something we ought to shine a light on in a very eloquent manner, because every person that he named off there, some have had to travel far. Most of them are right here in this arena that we live in, this countryside that we live in, region that we live in. And that is an outstanding achievement that ought to be probably more recognized each year. And I thought he did such a humble, respectful job in making that point, how he handled that. It's something that really made me think about just all the good things through the years that have happened here in such a good way.
I would like to say one more thing, too, after Mr. Rastning. But, you know, seeing Mr. Moore speak there this afternoon, my mind reminisced to back in the fall of 1980. Bud Phillips took us government students to the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors. And Mr. Sonny Moore stood up. And the road going up Buffalo was all gravel at that time, and that's Mr. Moore's dad.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a lot of education, but he was a minister. And he stood up and spoke and asked the Board of Supervisors to pave the road going up Buffalo, and it would help the future generations. And I was so touched by his sincerity. And then tonight, as I watch his son, another generation, come in effect, and to make that change and that positive thing in history. And I think that's what we're all doing here. I think that's the real key to life. And I just wanted to mention that.
Mr. Moore was one of the finest gentlemen I ever knew, and he not only preached at Martintown, Martin's Chapel, he preached all over this county and area. And the fact is that he has a son that followed his footsteps in that regard, and he also works at the Career Tech Center and the
Mr. Moore, James Moore.
in the auto body, I think, realm there. But I didn't expect to hear that from Mr. Moore, and I'll have to say that it was one of the most appreciated things that I've seen in my time in this business. And I've, as a student and a teacher, and here, so I spent 46 years, I guess, in one way or another in this school division. But that really touched my heart, how he handled that.
Anybody else got something to add?
I'm just kidding. I'm tempted to say I second all of that, but I won't.
Well, see, I didn't take all the good stuff. You won't. All right. This time we'll go into closed session. Closed session pursuant to Section 2.2-3711, Paragraph A of the Code of Virginia, there will be a closed session for the purpose of, 1, employment issues relating to discussion or consideration of specific individuals for employment as teachers, custodians, transfers, retirement, and resignations pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1. 2, to consult with legal counsel regarding the investment of public funds associated with school construction and consultation regarding actual or probable litigation, along with consultation regarding specific matters requiring legal advice pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A 6, 7, and 8 of the Code of Virginia. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are now out of closed session. Mr. Robinson, will you please read the certification?
Yes, sir. Whereas the Dickinson County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Dickinson County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only the public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Would you please certify?
I certify.
I'll certify.
I certify.
I certify.
Certify.
Are there any motions from closed session?
Mr. Chairman, I move the board approve personnel recommendations as presented in closed sessions.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there any other business to discuss? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion